very good evening, namaste, and warm welcome. Today's session chair is Mr. Sameer Mehta, Vice Chairman of Dr. Mehta's Hospitals. Sam is against the top 10 leading healthcare investors of India and recipient of multiple national and international awards in healthcare, investing, entrepreneurship, and community development. Over to you, Sameer.
Thanks a lot, Anna. Welcome to CAHOTECH 2020, everybody. Today is day 3. We've had a pretty power-packed program over the last couple of days. It's ranged all the way from learning a lot about the telehealth adoption ecosystem. How can we make our practitioners as well as consumers more comfortable in the world of telehealth, especially at a time where probably it's not the users that have pushed the drive for telehealth, but more a COVID crisis that has enforced this upon the providers as well as the consumer community. So not by choice, but by reality. Yesterday was much more around the education ecosystem, and specifically, I think it was the education looking at different models from publication to telehealth to running medical colleges. What were the things that are working? What is not working? And I think we had a really broad program with experts from around the world sharing those insights, so that for a lot of us, we were able to see a potential opportunity and pathway in the future for all hospitals, for health systems to invest much more in healthcare. And I think that was some part of the puzzle. Finally, that brings us to today, which is today's program is much more going to be around the opportunity for connected care, innovation, breakthroughs, and the like. And that is much more around I think the ecosystem of making sure that how hospitals, how home healthcare, and all of them try their best to come together to implement technology. So I think today is a little bit of ideation, a little bit of thinking, but really what we'd love all the participants to do today is to implement, take the best of the things around the world and deeply implement what you hear. We're going to hear things from the Internet of Things, from the connected care, remote monitoring ecosystem. We're going to hear about the latest ingestibles and the like devices from places as far off as Hopkins, from places like Israel, from places like the USA, to the UK, where we have Professor Ash sharing some of his views around the move of artificial intelligence. We've got Professor Shafi, who is a singularity professor, as well as a TEDster, as I like to joke about some of us, who are interested in talking about their tweaks with not only connected, but with virtual and augmented reality and the best of. All the way to, I think, a perspective from within the healthcare ecosystem on consumers. So we wanted to hear, for example, how doctors felt about using some of these connected technologies, how some of these consumers, and I called on a couple of friends to see if they could help us give a consumer side of the story, but with deep hospital expertise. So we'll hear a celebrity view, and we have our very own strong celebrity who's been a strong friend of the healthcare ecosystem, Anu, and folks like Anand, who will share with us the best of what they see as the consumer of the future and what we have to start preparing for. Because the reality is COVID has given us a tough wake-up call. But tomorrow we may not have a COVID to tell us what to do. And the best of humanity has to roll up for the things that matter. So I think that's the perspective of what the next 2 hours is in store for you. We will hear straight after Devi a panel that comprises of 4 stalwarts, Yusuf, Edna, Harold, and Shafi. They come in with what I call breakneck breakthrough experiences from around the world, implementing in the best of Israel, implementing this and teaching people how to implement and designing that implementation with what Yusuf is going to share from his experience running the Center of Bioengineering at Hopkins, and before that, his time at J&J. We've got Harold, who's going to share the actual clinician's view, and he's an anesthesiologist who's going to share basically how he's implementing and trying to start a company in connected health. We then have Professor Shafi, who's a celebrity in his own right. He's one of the first people who's played around with virtual and augmented reality, actually conducting a surgery with it. He's actually set up one of the first digital hospitals in the world. And I hope it's more than digital, meaning on paper. I hope it's actually one which treats physical patients, as the saying goes. Shafi will share that. And I thought a great addition to our program. We will bring this together with a little bit of Q&A. And I think the idea of panel one is really to wet your mouths from a provider ecosystem, a decision maker ecosystem, a user ecosystem, as well as an investor ecosystem in what is the best of. And through that, you'll see a bit of America, a bit of the NHS, a bit of Israel, what happens in these different geographies, so that we can learn for our own geography what is a better way of implementing and getting smart. So I think that's something quite simple that we'll hear. We'll have some Q&A. So if you can post the Q&A, it gets curated and gets sent to me. And we have an awesome MC. Anna has been an MC for multiple events. So I feel in good hands. She'll give me a hard time, and hopefully we'll have some spice as well. And I think that's step one. Step two is we then have one or two special talks. So Ash is going to share a little bit of a different view, which is how would you redesign the world using AI and connecting different partners together so that they can all work in collection. Because as most of us know, it's never one man's island or one woman's kitchen that ever wins the day. It is a combination of the multitude of kitchens that saves our lives, or the multitude of islands that makes this island a better place to live, right? So I think that's what we're going to try and focus on. I think the second panel, which is actually extremely interesting because it's the consumer view for me, is going to talk much more around a little bit of the consumer of the future. And Anand is a specialist at this. They've done some great work in his company to look at what does the consumer of the future look like. And more importantly, looking at components like what will actual consumers want, right? So we asked a clinician consumer in Dr. Rajkumar, because he's actually been implementing a lot of connected health during COVID. So he's going to talk a little bit about that experience. And then we'll have, hopefully Anu will just make it come alive much better than I have, and make this a lot more fun, interactive, and I think talk about her own consumer experiences as an entrepreneur, especially in mental health, very celebrated global actor, as well as somebody who's been in different parts of the ecosystem publishing books.